if we're out with people and they say, "Oh, how tall are you?" I need you, Jake, to say 6'4".
Why 6'4"?
Because and Shannon,
Well,
what's
how
your...
tall are you?
6'5".
Oh, you can say 6'5", and then what's you?
5'10".
So you say 5'10", because then I'm gonna go 6'8", because I am 68 inches tall. So I'm not lying, and then there'll be a moment where they're like, "Wow, he's very tall, very strong."
Yeah,
So
I think that would
deal?
work. Yeah, sure.
Deal.
I can round down for you if you want. I can
No, you
say
don't need to round
6'2".
down. Just say 6'5", but don't say feet or inches.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by Shake and Janin.
Hey.
I didn't even mean to do
Which
that.
one?
I didn't mean to do that.
Shake and Janin.
Shake and Janin.
Shake and Janet.
Shake and Janin
That's
in
kind
the
of fun. I like
morning.
Janin on you.
Janet?
Yeah,
That
Janet.
could be a Janet.
Jamming with Janin.
Well, you know, everyone always thinks when I say my name that I'm saying Janet.
Oh.
Because I say Shannon because
What?
I'm from
Shannon.
the East Coast
Shannon.
with like a short A or whatever. So they always think I'm saying Janet. So I go, "Hi, Janet." I'm like, "That's fine."
Janet.
You just let it fly. You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, fuck it. That's my name.
I'm like, that's my name now.
I get Jay a lot. It's which I don't
yeah.
care. Like a lot of people call me Jay. For
Yeah,
short,
you could
know.
be Jay.
Yeah, JD was like you got that going in college. Actually, a lot of people called me JD in the comedy crew.
It just feels so you because you're JD. You know,
I
It's like
appreciate
JD Power.
I had a really shitty uncle named JD, which is why I don't think I got called that growing up. But no, I don't. It doesn't bother me. I like being called JD. I don't associate it with him. But I think that's why nobody in my family ever embraced it, just because it had a connotation.
the uncle.
already.
The uncle.
Well, I hope you guys had a happy holidays.
Yeah,
I
Happy
had
New Year.
Such a happy holiday. You know,
Shredder
I'm,
Vega in the
hungover.
house.
I did. I
He was
went.
boarding.
I boarded everywhere.
Shredding R
Boarded in the taw. Shredded on the taw.
in the taw.
Yeah, I'm
Is
trying
it-
to get this going for Utah.
I think they need anything. They'll take anything they can get culturally.
Let's
They'll-
rebrand Utah.
Yeah.
The
Need
taw, baby.
They need a little bit of swag.
Yeah, they need a lot.
They're
They need
kinda
beer that
dorks.
isn't 4%.
Yes.
That's a start.
And caffeine.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't have caffeine
You can
there.
listen to my caffeine troubles on the bonus. And actually, if you're a patron, maybe you could even meet up with me. I met up with 2 listeners in Utah, gems and a half. You better believe it. I did kill a child while snowboarding. I didn't know how to break it to you guys.
Oh, wow.
Was going, this is at Big Bear, which is in California.
Yeah.
Which
oh,
is,
so you didn't even have diplomatic immunity in Utah.
I know. What a shame. Yeah. So if you guys
RIP.
don't know, I think most ski resort towns, like when they built a town, they're like, this is great, right? Everyone who lives here can go ski. And everyone's like, yeah, it's a good idea. And then the holidays hit, they're like, oh, we didn't think like people were going to come. Just there's no infrastructure. The roads are not built for this. So it took me 3 hours to get up the mountain to go to Big Bear. I ran into this Russian guy. Truth be told, guys, I don't endorse cigarettes. I bummed a cigarette from a Russian guy. Okay, I did it. I'm a bad person. Cigarettes are disgusting. And he told me it took him, it's a 2-hour drive. It took him 7 hours. We're still an hour away from Big Bear at this point because of traffic.
What?
Okay. So when you're going up the mountain, unlike anywhere else, right, there's a passing lane, but here there are turnouts.
Yeah.
This is where you seed victory and you admit, I am not comfortable going as fast as these other people.
Yes.
And you just pull into the turnout. And I was very impressed when I first went to Big Bear. I was trailing someone's ass in my Camry Hybrid, which is an incredible vehicle, and they couldn't handle the heat and they turned out. And I was like, good on you, mate. You're holding me up. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I'm in all this traffic. I'm getting so angry. But I'm like, whatever, it's traffic. Somebody probably flew off the road and their whole family exploded. And what a tragedy. But I still have to go snowboard. But as I'm going down the mountain this time, I'm behind the guy who is causing traffic for the whole mountain, okay? With chains on your tires. So even if you drive a sedan like me, you put the chains on, you have to do it. There's a guy who makes sure
Oh,
you
how
do
much
it.
was it this time?
I did it myself.
You did. Go,
That's right,
Danny.
folks.
No more gouging.
No more gouging. I did the chains all by my lonesome, and
Did
it was.
you YouTube it?
I didn't. No, I kind of had a grasp of it. I analyzed the structure of the chain. I did put it on backwards twice before I figured it out, but I nailed it.
You're owning
Good
it.
job.
I even helped a family. They were working so hard. The kids were helping. Everybody was helping. And then every time they would get the chains on and they get all excited, and he'd get in the front seat and then just and like it just wasn't working at all. And I was like, I think your Ford Fiesta has forward wheel, like the front wheel drive. They switched the tires and they booked it the fuck out of there. They were like a pit crew, this family. It's great.
Nice.
So anyway, I'm going down the mountain. This person, you guys, is going max 20 miles per hour. Typically 10 though. Downhill. Typically 10. There's 2 people behind him and then me. And then I can see in my rear view just hundreds of cars. Just they're holding up the whole. I mean, I don't know.
Did you do that thing where you get over slightly so everybody can see? It's not me.
It's not me, honey.
Oh, I was doing that a lot. I kept throwing my hands up. I was like, see, I'm throwing my hands up. I'm that too. Getting so self-conscious.
You were the second in line.
Yes.
So like it could have been you.
Eventually, I see the opportunity to pass this evil motherfucker, and I literally just held my horn. This was like one of the most brutal horns I've ever given.
You got to do it.
Wait, why did he turn off?
No, because he's holding up the whole mountain.
How'd you pass him though?
Oh, because there was I did it illegally. Yes, there's really like very.
Whoa,
Yeah,
go Danny. I bet everybody else behind you in the line was like cheering for you.
I hope so.
You pulled some Dom Toretto shit on him.
I felt
you did it
like
for
that.
the people.
It felt good. So anyway, get to Big Bear. Everyone and their mother is there. You said you liked Big Bear. I actually thought of that. I was like, Shannon likes this.
Well, I just think people are always complaining so much about like, oh, it's not good enough. And I'm just like, I just enjoy skiing and I don't mind when the slopes aren't like incredible
Pristine.
because I like to just like
fair.
casually cruise.
But there's so many motherfuckers. Aren't you bothered by that?
Well, I don't think I've ever gone when it was like crazy.
Oh, it was
and
crazy.
normally my friends and I would rent a cabin. It was so much fun. We would go like skiing and tubing and
I prefer it in the lake. I prefer in the lake
summer.
season.
Yeah.
Can we be Mountain Town Bros?
Oh, we
this
would
summer?
go camping.
There
We should do a camping
That'd be
trip.
so fun.
Friends
that.
and I did that, and it's the
Summer
best.
Big Bear rules.
Yeah.
I will say that's one of my least favorite. I love driving in SoCal. That is my least favorite
We
drive.
gotta go somewhere else.
Like the drive up Big Bear. As a passenger, it's really pretty and you have tons of views, but it is white knuckle, like
it's
all these
scary.
little bends
Left
and twists.
and right and left.
You just don't have
crazy.
any point to relax. Like my ankle is flexed the whole time on the gas pedal. It's
a lot.
No, thank you.
So anyway, I'm going down like a green and everyone is there. It's like Times Square of skiing. And this girl is in front of me and she just hard hooks just completely unexpectedly. And I'm like, that's going to be an issue. And I started to slow and just like pretty much body slammed her. Felt terrible. I like fell all the way back.
What are you supposed to do?
And I got up and I was like, I am so sorry. She was like more adult about it than me. She's like, these things happen. It's going to be okay. And I'm
How
like,
old was she?
She was like, I don't know, 14, 12.
Okay.
Like she was a little kid. Her whole family is there, but like farther down the mountain because I just checked her.
Right.
So I like helped her put on her skate and it was no big deal, but I did feel, I was much more responsible after that. I was like, I'm not going to go fast on this beginner section because these kids, you can't predict their movement.
Right.
Yeah,
So true.
tell me about it.
But I did have
Right in front of you.
Yeah.
I can't see you down there.
Yeah. Jake is he's just taking the whole
I've
village.
talked
with him.
about it on the pod before. I clocked a kid in the temple with my knee once, but
Yeah.
like just like as I was
just
walking, they were
walking.
fine. And like the parents had a very responsible attitude of just like, this is what happens. Don't get in front of people. Like,
He's a giant man. Haven't you seen Godzilla? But so I stayed at this hotel and I get there and I right off the bat, the guy had texted me. He's like, let me know when you're here. And I was like, what kind of hotel is this? I don't know. What is this? I got to check in. We got to send you a text.
knock twice and then once.
Yeah, right.
Whisper woodpecker into the peephole.
Can I see you in the lobby and we get the key? Like, what is this place?
Did you bring a tuxedo?
So
You need a tuxedo.
What? Who are you, sir? Go in there and it's just a key, by the way, not a key card. So I'm like, okay, what year is it? And anyway, there's trash on the bathroom floor. There's a cup just left on the floor and a used towel. And I was like, did they even clean the room? 14 on the microwave, 14 seconds left on the microwave. And I'm like, it literally seems like someone just walked out of this room. And the bed is like made, but it's not like super crisp. You know how they get it nice and crisp in there. Mm-hmm. And used contact lens on the dresser by the bed. I will ding myself though. It's possible that it was my contact lens that had stuck to my wallet, so I'm not sure about that piece of evidence, but I didn't know. And also, they said there was a fireplace, and the fireplace didn't work. So I was like, okay, this is a lot. So I like complained to the guy and I was like, call me
course
crazy.
you did.
Call me crazy. Is the bed dirty? He's like, the bed's not dirty. You're crazy. I was like, all right, I'll drop that. But there is kind of a lot of issues. And he goes, I'm going to bring you a blanket. And I said, can you bring me 2? And he brought me 2 of the warmest blankets they had. And it was actually a great experience. And I didn't complain. I just said, hey, you know, this is what happened. The other thing was I tried to fill up a coffee pot in the morning and I'm literally standing there in front of the sink for like a minute and it's not filling up. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, do I not understand how much water is coming out? And I lift it up and there's just a huge hole in the coffee pot.
Oh, shit.
It was like totally broken.
How much did you pay for this hotel?
$200.
Yikes.
Oh,
Come to find out, it's
a night?
Yes, it's a motel. And that, to be fair, that's how they list it. But I guess I saw the fireplace.
A motel means that it's like outside.
I think
the doors are outside.
It was a technical motel. But anyway, I didn't complain. I just said, hey man, I just wanted to let you know, like I expected a fireplace. And frankly, for $200, I don't think it is a motel quality when you have a fireplace. That's like nice, you know, like I would bring someone there. I was just like that with him. And I was like, I feel like you could totally charge that much. I know it's probably peak time and that's why you charge that much. And he took it super well. And then later offered me 50% off my next stay.
Wow.
And I just thought that was a good example. I never said like, I'm so unhappy. I was just like, I expected this and this is what I got.
That's the best way to handle a customer
I wish I could do things like that. I'm
you
just
can't report?
Nope.
So what would your tone
I
be?
can't do confrontation, period.
Oh, you just would say nothing.
Yep. I just keep my mouth shut. And then I just get a lot of resentment in my life.
I handle it the same way that I handle issues when there's like an issue with a customer that I have to work out in sales, where I make it sound like some phantom has caused this issue that is impacting both. When it's like, you fucked up and now I have to handle this issue. But it's just like, hey, look, I don't know what happened, but I came and I actually had a similar situation when I was staying at a hotel for work up in Pismo, and like I could just tell none of the surfaces in this hotel room had been wiped down, and it's just one of those So the way I handle that is by calling the front desk of like, you know, I know y'all do a great job around here. I've stayed with you before, but I'm thinking that somebody might have missed a couple of countertops, or you know, maybe I'm crazy.
What? So you get a different accent when you do this?
No, I'm just doing my Midwestern dad.
Well, I'm up here, 212 up in your fancy.
I don't know. It's not a different accent, but like I do adopt a very like friendly.
That's great.
Taste,
No, and that's the same kind of premise of I always like to say I've never had a bad experience before. Like I know you guys don't do this on purpose. Like I think that's a great way to frame it.
You guys fucking rule. I know Benny down at the front desk. He'd fucking die for me. He's a real one. Can you wipe down the counters, maybe?
Right.
It's silly things, but you didn't like the.
It works.
I love getting the actual key.
Really?
I like that. Well, most of the hotels I stay at that do that are really nice. Like
Key to the kingdom.
There's a spot in San Luis Obispo. If you're ever up there, hotel the Granada Hotel.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's like I think it only has like 12 or 13 rooms, and the building goes all the way back to like the late 1800s. So definitely haunted. But they still use all the original keys, and I really like that touch.
That's so cool.
It helps that it's a beautiful old hotel. So like I could imagine if it's just like a rinky-dink motel, you're probably like, I don't like this.
It was rinky-dink, and when people would walk around, I could feel it in the bed.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I almost gave that note. Like, can you get like a little mattress?
The
like
floors, replace them. All of the floors.
You built the building weird because I can feel it moving when somebody's walking.
Your shit's all fucked, bro.
Yeah. But anyway, so I had a good holidays. I hope your guys was great. At some point, Jake and I were talking though. Actually, Jake, thank you so much. We had like a 3-hour call, which really shortened my drive.
Yeah.
And Jake told me this amazing story about myself. This is the craziest thing of Jake and I being closer friends now, is that I keep hearing these stories and I'm like, oh no, not something I did in college, but this was actually a good story.
I thought this is one of my favorite Danny memories. This was during, I think it was the summer of 2011. And it was widely publicized that this fringe Christian group or whatever was telling the world the rapture is happening on this night at this time on this day. And Danny and your roommates at the time, you decided to have a rapture party, which we all thought was super funny.
That is pretty funny.
It was really funny, and it was a great party. And I'm out in front of the house at one point in the evening, and this is after the party's been going for a while. Everybody's having a good time and loose, and Danny bursts out of the front door of this place with a wide-eyed look in his eye. And he sees me and he just breathes this sigh of relief and he comes up and he gives me a big hug. And everybody that I'm talking to is just like, Danny, what's wrong? It's just like, I just realized that it's the time when they said everybody would be raptured. And frankly, no offense to anyone else, I think Jake is the only person here who would be raptured. So I had to make
thought he
sure.
was gone.
I had to make sure Jake was still
is
here
that? Is
so
that an
that I didn't
insult
throw a
or
rapture
what?
party during the real rapture. It's very, very funny. It's a fun memory.
Raptured.
I don't like what does that say about Jake?
Because Jake has a big heart and he's very caring.
I
He's
think
not mean.
I think what it says is that the time out
Also,
of
it
a
was a
lot of people in
compliment.
ASU comedy, it was a huge compliment. I might have been the only person with a visible conscience. Like I think out of
Fair.
at the time it was probably like, yeah, because that would have been before like a few other people joined up. So I probably would have been the only other person you've ever seen in that group willfully show like, oh, I feel bad about how I just behaved.
Yeah.
So low bar.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was he was a good person among nightmare people.
I wouldn't say nightmare. People.
Well, we were all
Greasy.
getting fucked up. We were getting
Greasy.
fucked up a lot. Yeah. We were
Greasy.
sitting on a toilet drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. Why do we have
Yeah,
a toilet
this-
in our backyard? We just
Oh
did.
yeah, you guys did have that.
Yeah,
didn't
we
you?
did.
This was ASU people. Okay, the bar is very low.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I've seen Jake apologize for something he did. He's a pope.
He's a he's the pope now.
Oh, that's very sweet. You were concerned.
Yeah.
I think
But
it was more self-preservation than direct concern.
yeah, I need Jake to protect me. I only have a couple of tall friends to shoot.
Jake, I need you to vouch for me. When we get up there, I need you to tell Jesus I'm cool.
I did see the fam, saw the poop hider. That was great. Shannon, you were saying you might have done some poop hiding yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so I've been watching my parents' dog the past couple days, and which, I really like dogs. I just am not a fan of watching them and taking care of them. It's just a lot of
You like the
work.
concept of dogs.
I like hanging out with them if I have no responsibility
Okay,
for them.
you're
Same,
a dog
yeah.
aunt.
Your dog
Yes.
is my favorite dog. Yeah.
Right.
I feel you.
And so then when I have to watch him every now and then, and it's fine because it's cute. We get to bond, and he's 12, so we've had him for a while, and he's the sweetest dog. Like, if you're gonna watch a dog, this is the dog you want to
Sweet
watch.
boy.
What kind of dog is
so
this?
good. A Westie.
Hello, Westy.
And I gave him. I had to because my parents gave him to me. They're gone for 3 weeks, and they gave him to me with his hair in front of his eyes. You couldn't see
Aw,
anything. I thought he was getting old and blind. And then I realized, I'm like, there's just hair in front of your eyes. So I gave him a haircut. But now he looks kind of silly. But anyway, so this morning I had to wake up really early because we got here early, and I had to take him for a walk and feed him and all that. And he was bugging me to go out. So I was like, okay, clearly he has to go, but I wasn't dressed yet. So I let him go out in the yard, and he went to the bathroom number 2. So usually on our morning walks, he goes twice. He poops twice. And so I already had all his stuff wrapped up for my parents' friends are picking him up today. And so on our real walk, I just took one baggie because I was like, he'll just have to go another time because he always goes twice. And I didn't take the whole roll of the baggies. And as I was doing that, I was like, I bet I'm going to need another one. But I was just like, whatever. I was already out the door. And so he goes second time, like, perfect, have a baggie. And then he goes a third time.
Wow.
And on the sidewalk. And I was like, shit, I didn't have another baggie. So I took a bunch of leaves and I pushed it onto the side of the road. And then I, where the curb, in between the curb. And I put a bunch of leaves over it. So I was the poop hider.
That is Shannon.
I think that's worse than what the poop hider does.
The poop
I
hider
know, but what was I
displayed his
supposed to
technique.
do?
You find a stick and you dig a little hole, like what the poop hider does. I still do not agree with your father on this, Danny. I think that society has agreed what the practice is, but I was underestimating how well he was hiding
It's
poops.
truly hidden.
Shannon, though, bringing
call
this.
Well, it was hidden. It was covered.
You hid,
yeah.
but
You
and
created a
people might
landmine.
walk over
Yeah,
it.
you made a landmine.
Squish right in their
Shannon,
toe.
It's
Yes.
arguably more ethical to leave it out in the open so people know to
No, not-
avoid it.
Oh, I know.
Shannon, we got to give you a YTA on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and every time I take him for a walk too, like there's so much dog shit that people just leave, and I'm always like, "What the hell? That's so rude." And now I'm kind of like, "Oops, I kind of did it."
You're part of the
Yeah.
problem.
And I've created a booby trap too.
I'd say it's a war crime. You planted a landmine that anybody could stop.
It's okay.
So
You owned it.
sorry.
You won't do it again.
And now you are
part of the legions of
Oh, boy.
I tried.
My
I
dad
should
and
have.
time.
My dad and Shannon are in the same club.
Soon
Terrifying.
society shall
And the
change,
poop
and we shall all be hiding poops.
So in the poop hider's defense, I've been looking into camping because, maybe I want to just live in a tent now. I'm really trying a lot of different things, but it's true. If you camp, you can just bury your poop. That's not like the craziest thing. You're supposed to do it over 100 feet away from water or something like that.
Oh,
So he isn't that crazy. He's doing it in his neighborhood, which I'm kind of like,
No,
it's
it's
kind of gross.
Like
but-
there is a difference between digging a latrine and like dispose. Like that's like a whole. I think it is a principled stance to argue with your dad on this because again, you posted that video.
Yeah.
he does bury it. He's not just. I thought he was just
I didn't
like
realize he
kicking dirts
buried
over
it.
He
Well,
buries
my
it.
mom said because she lived in Arizona, and after she heard the episode, she said that she would just because they would go walking on trails, you just kick it off to the side.
Well, it's also
Okay, Shannon, in your defense, your family is a poop. I don't even know what they're doing with the poop.
seems to be like a.
That's not a thing.
It's
That's what she says she does.
your mom is on record not having qualms with throwing poop.
True,
That is-
very true.
that's true.
Diaper Sitch, 420, check it out. 420 episode.
Well, I mean,
Oh, which actually I kind of got an update on that a little
Really?
bit.
did he come back?
Yeah.
Not an update, but like my mom corrected a part of the story. When she threw it into, this is the diaper situation, everyone. When she threw it into his car,
Yeah.
he threw it back at her.
Oh, my
And then she picked it up and threw it back at him. And then the woman that was in the back seat apparently was like rolled down the window, was like a bulldog, like coming at her and like, "You fucking bitch, you parking lot trash," rah, 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 like screaming at her.
I didn't even
and
know there was
stuff.
a woman in the car.
I
thought
didn't
it was
know that
just-
either.
Wow. The plot thickens.
I kind of got the story a little
but
wrong.
they did concede in the end.
Yes,
Wow.
they took off.
I think parking lot trash doesn't really hit when you own the parking lot. I feel like that's
It's true, yeah. They get that all the time, though. It's like a big insult that we get a lot. Whenever we work on the parking lot, people would go, "You parking lot trash."
that because people hate paying for parking. I don't think it's a good insult though.
New Jersey is just lawless. Like
really is.
I've definitely never thought of people who work in parking lots as a sect of society.
Right,
it's just a
right.
job.
Parking lot trash.
It's like if you say trailer trash, it's not the guy who owns the trailer park. That's like the cruel capitalist.
Yeah, it's like I understand why people I'm always, because I've had to do cold calling jobs before when I was getting into my line of work, and it sucks. You hate doing it. And since then I've become way kinder about the concept of telemarketers, but there's that societal thing where like people for some reason are just like, it's okay for me to say anything I want to this 18-year-old on the other end of the phone who's just doing the job that he gets paid to
Yeah,
do
trying.
for
exactly.
nothing. And it's just like, I'm in the middle of dinner, I hope you die. And it's just like, hey man, the Steakums will be there, dude. I'm like, you were just the next name on the
Yeah.
call list. And all you literally have to say to never get bothered by that company again is take me off your list. And that
Right.
company legally will never call you again.
Yeah.
I didn't get a ton of sales, but I was really good at making people not mad at me. Because my first line every time is like, I'm going to square up with you right away. I'm a telemarketer. If you want to hang up now, go ahead and do it. And that opening would almost
great.
always get them to be like, what are you selling? And yeah, so
Good.
it's all about the
Got good
pitch.
technique.
So we're talking about flying, and you were saying, Shannon, that you don't like when people clap. Bothers you?
No, I never said that. It doesn't bother me at all.
We were in agreement on that one that we're
Pro clapping.
fine
Somebody
with clapping.
said, I don't know who
I don't
said
know what we
that.
said, but look, a pilot reached out. A pilot listener, Devin, said that pilots actually can't hear you
So it's
because they're in the sealed
So it's
cockpit up there.
useless.
She said compliment on the way out is better, which I do like to say.
yeah.
Like, good landing,
Yeah.
well done.
I actually go the opposite route. I try to motivate them. So every time I'm out of just like that whole experience could have been better. And I don't elaborate. No,
You
I don't.
give 'em a little
I don't
nag.
actually do. I'd say it's more of like coaching. It's more of just
Yeah.
like, you can be better, man. You can be better.
A little
No, I've
softer
never-
would have
I've
been
never said-
nice.
Yeah, it's like
you know,
you remember back around over Oklahoma. Got real bumpy, man.
What was
Got
that?
real bumpy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not critical of pilots. They're flying the sky bus. I have nothing to say, but good job.
hard job.
It is.
Would you rather be a pilot, like stress of being a pilot, or the stress of being the air traffic controller?
Oh my God, that kill me. I'm
Yeah,
out.
right.
I
both
get so
really
anxious on
difficult.
planes. I don't want either of those. I play that game though, Flight Control, where you have to pick landing all the planes and
God.
stuff. I usually land about 30, so I think I would kill probably 500 people.
Do you ever play Flight Simulator? You seem like
I
a
love Flight
guy,
Simulator. Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
The new one's wild.
I love it. Yeah, and you can see the whole city and stuff. But they really neutered the crashing because I do kind of like to crash.
Well,
Then it just goes like crash.
Some
It doesn't-
historical things might. have led
What,
to
Jake?
that.
What reason can we simulate the building destruction?
I don't want to
Give me
point
a
any.
detailed, realistic analysis of what happens if I were to fly a plane into a building. What's wrong with that, Jake?
First of all, jet fuel can. No, I'm not even.
There we go.
Guys.
We got a lot of listener mail, a couple situations. Somebody submitted AITA for not trying hard at work anymore. They basically detail they worked their ass off building their quote unquote book of business, which I thought that was kind of fun. They had to do that from scratch. Now they're barely given any work. And while they spent a lot of time trying to be helpful, they described their coworkers as hags who constantly complain and gossip and are mean to them. So now they've stopped being helpful. Recently, one of the hags, OP's words, asked OP to do some work, and they were like, no, I'm not going to do that. AITA for not helping at all, even though I'm known as the helper. Help, I just want to quit, they write.
Wow.
You should quit.
Yeah.
If you're at a point with a job where you're saying, I got to get out of this job, do it. And, have your ducks in a row, be financially secure. But like, it sounds like this job's driving you nuts. And it doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's challenging you anymore.
No, they're not even
Yeah.
giving you any work.
Or just don't do the work and don't worry about it, because that's
True.
on them. It's not your fault that you're
Yeah.
not being given work.
Yeah,
it's not your
just-
responsibility. That's their task.
No, and that's I firmly stand that like if you're really, really good at your job, you make it look easy. And it's easy once you're at that point to feel like you're not trying hard enough. But the fact is you're good at your job and you know how to do it effectively.
Yeah.
So people who struggle with their job see that and they construe it as lazy because that makes them feel better about their own performance or the aspects they're struggling with. But it sounds like you've got your thing down pat here and you're cruising. That means that you're effective at your role. So don't worry about how other people feel in conjunction with their role about that. And yeah, you don't have to help people. Is it in your job description? We need to start asking ourselves that on the clock a lot more
Totally.
often.
I don't like when people say that, though.
What?
That's not in my job description, so I won't
Depends
do it.
on what it is.
Depends
on what it is.
If your manager's asking you to do
guess.
something, you got to do it. But like, if you ain't got nothing to do, it's not your job to go find something to
That's
do. You'll
true,
look
very
good
true.
if you do that, but you don't got to do it.
I did it out of boredom when I was in more hands-on jobs, like where I was actually like in a shop or whatever. I would constantly be doing
Yeah.
stuff that was above and beyond simply because I wanted the day to go by faster.
Yeah.
And I was really quick about anything that I had, so I was constantly trying to fill time. But like, I think I've worked several jobs, especially for private employers at smaller companies. They will take employment as you do anything I ask you to do, and that's not employment, that's servitude.
True.
So I think that it is important to draw those barriers and like leaving specifics out. One of my friends at one of these jobs, he just kind of became an all hands guy for them, and his job was inventory. His job was to handle inventory, get stuff from one place to another. But he wound up like he'd get asked to like sit in the dunk tank at their kid's birthday party, like all this other shit.
That's a line cross.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's-
you're right. You got to have a sense of boundaries. And that is when the job description thing can be relevant. Like, I'm not your babysitter. I'm not, there's certain things you're not going to do.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it just depends. And,
OP
and I've seen that in bigger companies too, but just respect your own boundaries.
NTA, NTA.
Quit.
Another letter here writes, hello. I love this pod so much. I started listening back in 2020 and burned through most of them very fast. I got to say, I miss Sarah a lot, but I'm loving the refreshing perspective from Jake and Shannon. And I also love when they put Danny in his place, LOL.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Of course. Another letter. You all are my favorite and most played pod by far. My coworkers and I listen together, so I'll be distributing the stickers and spreading the joy. Love you guys. We love you too, Jessica.
Put them on stop signs, Jessica.
There.
Right where everybody can see them.
I don't know about that.
That's
Cover them all.
We're not actually saying that, Jake. I don't know if
You're
I
not.
can
I am.
All right, Jake is saying it, not me. Somebody else wrote in, my husband and I are wondering if Shannon and Jake have their own podcast. We love them. Okay, well, kill me with a fucking gun then. What about me?
It's called Shake Shack, and
We just discussed burgers and fries.
and the juice. It's still a lot of juice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we should do that.
We should.
Let's just get rid of them. Well, you said you were going to move anyway.
Yeah, you're talking about going into a tent and being a snowboarder.
I was going to go into a tent and be a snowboarder, but still do the pod.
Oh, really?
Fine, whatever.
I wasn't
just
aware of
do
that.
Your dumb Shake Shack. Nobody even needs
you
it.
have all the equipment.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy
Got
it.
you. There's no way.
Well, I have some microphones, so we can do without him.
Whatever.
Bye.
Guys, thank you so much for submitting. Please keep the submissions coming. I actually think that between this and the next, we are fully going to be covering almost every submission. I'm not reading them all in their totality, but I'm responding to every single one. So please submit. I am on top of it. We will cover your submission.
Yeah.
And shout out to our listener who said, bring Guess the Verdict back. Well, we are. We are. And this one is right from the newsletter. Please subscribe to the newsletter. The link is in the description.
Okay.
Here we go. AITA for going on a trip with my family that my wife isn't going on.
Say it again.
AITA for going on a trip with my family that my wife isn't going on.
I'm gonna guess NTA.
I was going to guess NTA too.
Here's the story. OP's 26M family surprised him and his two siblings with a ski trip for a post-holiday vacay. OP's wife was invited, but she'd have to pay for herself, which she can't afford. We also learned that her family background is dirt poor. OP's parents have historically always asked the wife to pay for her own trips with them, and now she's upset. So we actually put this on Twitter, and most people went YTA, 42%, and the Reddick verdict was...
I think I would do YTA for that.
Hey, well, you didn't say YTA before.
Well, I was guessing the
yeah, you
verdict.
guessed wrong.
Yeah, we're both wrong.
You were both wrong, weren't you? Prairie Mountain Zen writes, so you are well aware that your parents are excluding your wife and you don't understand why she's hurt and upset about this, especially when it's during Christmas.
Yeah, I'm like, you should help pay for your wife.
Yeah, that's fucked.
I think it has to be negotiated and discussed, and she needs to be understood.
Yeah.
But I think it can be tough, especially if your finances are strapped and it's like, well, the parents don't have unlimited money either.
That's true. That's
tough.
true.
It could be a toughie.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Shannon, your move.
Okay. AITA for causing my mother-in-law to take away some of my sister-in-law's books.
See, that already just feels like, why is OP responsible for her behavior?
Yeah.
I'm going to go NTA.
I'm gonna agree with NTA, but like denial of literature is wild. Like that's fuck. I have to guess NTA, but what are the details?
Are you Fahrenheit 451? Please.
Okay, so OP thought that her younger sister-in-law, who is only 16, was reading books that were very explicit and didn't represent the healthiest of romances. And so she got her mother-in-law involved, which is the sister-in-law's mom, and told her that the literature is too mature for her and that she should confiscate them. So the mother-in-law did. Sister-in-law is now mad at her about it. And yeah, so
she is directly
So,
responsible.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it got a YTA.
She was a snitch.
It got
She was a
snitch.
She's a snitch,
Snitch.
and denied somebody literature because of her own personal.
Well, no,
taste.
but she didn't deny it.
no, but
She asked the mother-in-law
mother
to.
took it
she
away.
invoked an authority figure.
to
Right.
donate
This
the
is
books.
complying with fascism. This is
I kind of see you on that.
This
It's like,
is-
dude, she's reading a book.
yeah, like
She's reading.
yeah.
Do you know what that is in
That's so
today's day
fucked.
and age?
I'm assuming this family is like a little bit more religious, I would guess.
I
course,
can guarantee.
of course.
I don't think secular atheist families are ripping Twilight out of anybody's hands. Aside from maybe like this isn't good quality writing.
Titillating words? No, that's pretty ridiculous.
Okay.
Okay, AITA. for banning alcohol from Christmas.
Ooh, I think I've read this one.
Wait, AITA for banning alcohol
from Christmas. I believe that this did actually go YTA, but my personal answer would be NTA because I'm like, it's your Christmas party.
Well, you know the story.
I believe I do.
Well, I would have guessed YTA.
So this family rotates who's hosting Christmas each year, and it's finally this person's turn. She specifies that the family likes to drink. They go through multiple bottles of wine, cocktails, and she specifies that she thinks it's childish if you can't have fun without drinking. She goes on to say that when it's her turn to host Christmas, it's time for everybody else to grow up, and we're not having alcohol in this house.
Interesting.
The family responded by basically saying, all right, cool. We're going to do our own Christmas then.
Right.
And they just bailed on her Christmas to have their own.
Brutal.
And what I think is so funny about this is literally a plot line in the early seasons of The Office when Angela tries to have a sober Christmas party.
You're right.
Pam and Karen go rogue and have their own alcohol Christmas party.
Yeah, and
nobody
everyone
wants to go to
the
Angela's.
alcohol.
So this is a fuck around and find out situation for me. Danny, I hear you, like, alcohol shouldn't be necessary to have fun, but like, you are the guest in this family tradition, and clearly everybody else likes to drink. And I think it's fucking ridiculous to everybody else should grow up. My way of living's right. Like, that's foolishness. So I don't blame the family for reacting the way they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some nuance there, but I feel that.
If she specifies that her father was an alcoholic, so that's why it's personal for her.
Okay.
But you can't hold up like that. That is a moot point to everybody
That's
else
fair.
because
Right.
nobody else involved here seems to be an alcoholic.
Yeah, then just you don't drink.
Yeah.
And,
She's
and
being
if you have a
rigid,
problem with like supplying it because you don't want to waste your money supplying the alcohol,
Everybody else
then
brings
BYOB.
Everybody, yeah.
Oh yeah, like if people are getting fucked up, I feel like they could meet in the middle, but she's being rigid. So
Yeah.
My
fair
family
enough.
drinks at Christmas and like people get drunk, but nobody's getting fucked up. Like
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen
Well, some
in
people
all
do.
my years. Well, some people do, but I'm saying from my point of
Right.
view and my family, I think we've maybe had 2 people get overserved in the 30 some years that I've experienced holidays with them. So
Yeah. And you remember every single year. And it did go YTA.
it did go YTA.
So
big time.
Shannon and I each got 1 point.
Yeah.
Jake?
Nice.
I'm still sitting at 0.
So it looks like Shannon and I won.
Woo! Do
There
we
we
need a
go.
tiebreaker?
Boom. I guess.
No.
I don't know. Jake, can you pull up another one? Let's tie
I got
this.
one here.
Yeah, but what if we
go.
both want the same thing? Do we buzz in?
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
AITA for borrowing my husband's underwear.
Oh, I do this all the time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll say, I'm going to go rogue
I'm gonna
with
go.
YTA.
Oh, I was gonna guess that. I'll go NTA then.
Okay, it is NTA.
Shannon wins. Damn.
Yeah, I'm about 7 to 8 months pregnant, and while I'm thankfully not gained a lot of weight, my belly has grown a lot, and I find that most of my underwear is too small for my size. She's borrowing husband's underwear to compensate.
Mad about it.
Yeah, apparently he was not crazy about this, but I
I use
don't-
my boyfriends because there's so much.
cares?
There's a
so
lot
comfy.
of there's a lot of peripheral information here, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we get
this
it.
It's like
this
your
guy's panties
your
are literally in a bunch.
private
apparently.
parts touch all the time anyway.
Yeah,
who cares?
Dude, you got her pregnant.
Yeah, literally.
What's gross about this?
And I have like 100 pairs of underwear because I hate doing laundry. Like, come on,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
I love having too much underwear.
It's the
That's just a
best.
nice luxury to have.
You know, because you can wear a
That's
shirt
true.
twice, but you really don't want to do that. Twice. But we've all
Socks
done
and
the
under-
inverted underwear trick,
True,
haven't we?
true.
I actually don't do that.
Okay,
You've
Jake's
never
better
done
than
it? You
me.
never
I need-
had
I
to?
need fresh.
Wow. I mean, I do too, but sometimes you're in a bind.
Sometimes you are. Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe. Why don't you take it from here, Shannon, since you're going to be like that?
Welcome to
Sure.
Shake Shack, everybody.
Are we gonna do
Okay, I
the
guess
next-
Shannon only
Yeah,
has
sure.
I'll do it, I'll
energy
do it.
to mock me.
No, I'll do it. Can I read one?
No, yeah, tell everyone to rate, review, subscribe.
Oh, rate, review, subscribe. Also, follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
I feel like we don't have as many followers on there as listeners. So, what are you all doing? Come on now.
And stay engaged on the Discord, everybody. We have
Yes.
a blast with you on there. It's great seeing the opinions.
And let us know what you want to see more of.
Hell yeah. And join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We've got a pop and Discord community We love to see it. Jake is there. Shannon is there. We've had some amazing discussions.
And also, gang, we have a live show this Friday, the 13th in LA. Please come. Tickets are only $5. I think there'll be 10 at the door, so get them online.
100 at the door.
Yeah, buy them online.
Buy them online. Big savings.
It's going to be super fun. It's going to be Danny, Jake, Christy, Lily, and I, and we are just going to have the time of our lives.
Tickets are going quick, too.
Yeah, only a couple tickets are left, guys. So
oh, shoot, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a few left, though.
How many people are
coming?
coming?
Should be good. I think it seats like 30, and we've already sold 25, so definitely want to get your
Some of my
tickets.
D&D players are coming from one of my campaigns. They're
Love
excited
it.
to see it.
Loves it. I have friends coming, too.
All right, folks, we got one heck of a juicy ep for you today. Our second story of the day is a listener submission. And this episode does have a bit of a theme. It's dogs, it's cats, it's pets, folks. AITA for taking my sister's cats to a no-kill shelter. But first, I think this is a beautiful follow-up to Cat Litter Gate. And we did receive, I did read your submission, OP, who was mad about me and what I said about cat litter.
Everybody was.
Some people were upset by what I said, and I'm hoping we'll kind of get into some of the weeds. I guess just to cover it briefly, I did drop my endangerment charges. I don't know. To me, this hasn't held water. I'm calling this Schrodinger's cat litter based off, the Schrodinger's cat thing, which is like the cat is half alive or half dead, because a doctor, this is verified online, a doctor will tell a single pregnant woman that it's okay for her to change the litter as long as she wears like a face mask and takes some precaution.
Okay.
So it is possible for a woman to safely change the cat litter.
Thank you for giving them permission, Danny.
I give them, it's doctor advocated.
Thank you for giving
Single
women
or
permission
married
to clean
woman
cat shit.
is not inherently endangering of the child to change the cat litter.
Congratulations,
Okay.
women community the world over. Danny has deemed it acceptable for you to
Okay.
care for your pet.
That's not exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, let's not get into it, boys.
AITA for prioritizing my son's dog over my wife's pregnancy. When my son 14 was 8, we got a dog. He's half Great Dane and half some dog.
Some dog, I don't know.
My son loves this dog and does all the care for him except that stuff and is a very responsible dog owner. This dog is pretty much his best friend. Now, my wife is 12 weeks preggo, and ever since we confirmed the preggo, she's been acting weird around the dog. She avoids him, puts her hands over her stomach when he is around, and jolts whenever he makes noise. Today, she told me she wants to rehome the dog. I asked her what she was talking about. She said she has been having anxiety that he will jump on her. This is completely unreasonable. He doesn't jump on people. We trained him not to jump on people or run into people very young because he's half Great Dane. And I felt this is important for all dogs, but especially one who could possibly grow to such a large size, which he did. There's no reason for her to think the dog will jump on her. She said that there is no way to know for sure that the dog won't jump on her, and if he does, our baby could be hurt. This dog has never so much as growled at her. She said even if the dog doesn't jump, her anxiety about it is bad for her health. She says she needs the dog elsewhere for her safety and the baby's. I told her that there's no way. My son got this dog right after he lost his mom, and it imprinted on him hard. Sometimes I think he loves the dog more than me. I'm not taking his dog. The dog didn't do anything. My wife said I'm prioritizing the dog over her pregnancy. The dog isn't a threat to her pregnancy. If this were any other unreasonable request, I would just do it because she's pregnant. I just can't break my son's heart over a fear she has that makes no sense. AITA.
Yeah, this one's such a tough situation. I feel really bad for the position that the OP's getting put in right now.
Yeah, and I think it lacks sort of the big galvanizer of cat litter gate was that the easiest solution is just somebody getting off their butt and cleaning some cat shit. That isn't the pregnant woman.
Yeah, this is
one's
getting
more
rid of
complicated.
a family member. You know?
I think a lot of Redditors, though, are finding that this is a straightforward thing. And they're saying, well, her fear is irrational. OP is also saying that. So, end of story. She needs to stop being unreasonable.
Yes, but I understand her anxiety is bad for the health of her child, which is very true. And she clearly, it may be irrational. I mean, it's not completely irrational because something really could happen. I think it's a small chance, but something could happen. But her anxiety is, I don't know how it's going to go away unless she goes to therapy and works through it or something.
Right, and
but
that shouldn't be on her
Some
plate.
people are are saying that.
But
on
her
Reddit.
anxiety is really going to harm the child.
should just get
Stress
therapy.
is very bad but also therapy really doesn't fix everything.
It also isn't instantaneous. It's not like she's going to have 3 sessions and suddenly not have
Like,
this
okay,
fear.
great.
But what I think that the ideal solution here, I don't think as potentially irrational as her fear is here, I think the ideal solution is like, and I said it before on the previous episode, like finding somebody to temporarily take in your pet is not easy, especially a Great Dane. That's a huge dog. That's a small horse running around the house. So you're going to have very limited people that would even be options that could take care of the dog.
Right.
But the ideal probably would be either long-term boarding or finding a friend who can take them in for several months. But that being said, if this woman genuinely thinks, oh, we're just getting rid of this dog, get the fuck out of here. No, we're not. Like, this is my son's emotional support animal at this point. But I don't think it would kill the kid I think it would be good for him actually to, see his animal doing well in another environment. He can go and visit him whenever he wants. He can spend all the time in the world with him. But, the compromise of like making your partner feel more comfortable, and like, I am going to be biased here. I'm going to try to meet the needs and wants of a pregnant woman as much as I can, because they're growing life inside them, and that's a demanding thing that has an effect on you.
But also it is so hard to I mean, I think a good solution would be to temporarily rehouse the dog, but that's also so difficult on the dog. Like, even just right now watching my parents' dog, like, I feel guilty being away from it for any certain amount of time because he's already out of his element. I mean, he knows me, but he doesn't live with me normally. And my parents are going to be gone for a while. And I'm always like, oh my God, it's okay. I'll be back. Like, cause he's scared. He's like, well, now Shannon's leaving me. So like, well, where's mom and dad, Right. And so like, that's also a part of my guilt of why I would never want a dog. Cause I feel like I would always have so much anxiety leaving the dog. But I can see how temporarily rehousing it would be like, wait a minute, where's my daddy?
Yeah.
I think there is a way, and I think this was a sticking point for us, but there is a way to put the animal somewhere else for 9 months. This is not an impossibility.
Well, not even 9 months, because she's already been pregnant. So
okay,
a little
less than 9 months. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think if the son can be taken to go visit his dog, he can find a way. They can find a situation where I think this can work. I don't actually think that therapy clicks in with me. I think this is a very valid fear because dog's an animal. And I love dogs, don't get me wrong, but like the notion that the dog would never jump, or it's not even that the dog needs to jump, it's just that the dog could have an unexpected reaction. And, my parents made me do this. I had a dog that I liked. I'm not going to say that the dog imprinted or anything, but I'd had the dog for like a month or two, and I was feeding the dog. I was caring for the dog. And my mom was pregnant, and they said, we're not going to have a Rottweiler around the house with the baby. And I do think it's an understandable thing. I think some people do it and they're comfortable, and if they're comfortable, fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's, child endangerment, but it's definitely a thing. Like dogs, they're animals,
Yeah.
they are.
I have been seeing a lot of like stuff online of dogs that everyone thought was like perfectly safe and well trained. Then all of a sudden they just like bit a woman's lip, and she has or like this other woman, her entire face, and she's been getting reconstructive surgery. She's on her like 12th surgery or something. And that's honestly scary to me. I think that's another reason why I would never want a dog, is because of that kind of thing happening. I know it's rare.
9 times out of 10 when I hear those stories, there's like a little thing of like, and I had my face right up in the animal's face, and it's
but
just
people
like,
do that all the time, and
No,
I've been cautious about doing that.
But that's what I'm saying.
You shouldn't put your
like,
face near a dog's
people need
face.
to understand how to behave around animals, and it's so easy to hear those stories and be like, oh, I guess that could happen with any dog. And it's like, no, people are fucking idiots when it comes to animals, and they think they're these big walking teddy bears that don't have any emotions, and it's just like, you need to mind your P's and Q's. It's like Danny said, it's an animal.
Yeah.
This is you are the smarter creature. It's your responsibility to keep in mind ways to prevent injury to yourself.
True.
So, and for the record, I grew up with a rescue Rottweiler in our house. That dog followed toddlers around, nudged them back up when they fell over.
Aw,
she was like
so
a
cute.
little nanny. She loved little kids. I do think that 9 times out of 10, when I hear stories about an animal suddenly behaving, it's just like, yeah, because somebody, like, you walk behind a horse and go, bah, And like, yeah, you might get kicked in
Well,
the
but
fucking
that's it.
face.
There's an element of chaos. It's,
Yeah.
You know, they're not humans.
Yeah, the human is the element of chaos.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
I know,
like,
I know what
not
you're
everybody
saying.
knows the rules of horses, and not everybody knows the rules of Great Danes, and not everybody knows that, like, oh, I accidentally stepped on a bag of chips and the dog jumped. You know, like things happen. Like, and when you have an infant, or when you have a belly, I do understand. I don't think this is that irrational, and I don't think this is something that therapy can erase. I think that's ridiculous.
I think irrational is a harsh word. This is a primal instinct that is being activated in your
Mama
brain.
bear is kicking in.
Your body is going through massive physical change, so your wiring is going to rearrange around that. You're going to be super protected at all times.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a primal reaction. I don't think we should come down on.
Yeah, I
on
don't
the
think
woman in this
anything's wrong
situation.
with. I mean, I think it's kind of
Trying to get rid of the dog
trying to get rid of the dog is a little heartless.
That's brutal.
And here's a comment: Weewa girl says, and he will hate his stepmother and step sibling for the
Yeah.
rest of his life. I mean, you are kind of setting
That's-
yourself up for having your stepson like resent you.
I brought that comment in to make fun of it, actually.
Really?
Because,
Oh.
yes, I think people can be very assuming of like the worst case scenario.
well,
Like,
hate is a strong word, but I think he would have a lot of resentment.
Yes.
If
It's
you
gonna
actually
internalize
got
it.
rid of the
Going-
dog.
Yeah, well, I
if
think
he
it's going to
truly
be.
got
Look,
rid of
this is
it.
going to be a discussion and a process and an issue. If the dog disappears overnight, which, by the way, a lot of redditors went on that route, you know, saying that OP Rescue Squad writes, "OP, please be very careful. She doesn't take matters into her own hands and takes the dog somewhere or hurts it." Shut the
Yeah,
fuck
we're borrowing
up,
a lot of
Reddit.
trouble there.
Give me a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Numerous comments going on about how the dog is suddenly going to be lost and how he should ship the dog or put an air tag on the dog. Somebody actually wrote that. Like, okay, don't,
Well, you should have an air tag on your hand.
Yeah, on the collar.
an air tag?
A collar.
A lot of people do that.
Can't you just
wrong
get a
with
chip?
that?
Isn't there better technology than an air tag?
I mean, you can get a chip, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, and you don't have to do a surgery.
Okay. Mistress Liliana, NTA, animals are lifetime responsibilities. Pawning them off because she got pregnant would be a shitty thing to do. I do think that Jake and I are probably going to butt heads on this because I don't necessarily feel that you marry a pet. I think that life can happen and sometimes you have to get rid of a dog. And yes, it does hurt the dog and it is traumatic. Should not be done flippantly, but I'm not really, I think this is a little bit too strong. In fact, most of my issue with getting rid of the dog is that the son, I think, would be really negatively
Yeah,
impacted.
no, he would.
Yeah.
It's not
he
about
would
the dog. The
internalize
dog will be
that.
okay.
The message that you're giving to the son, if you do that, is, hey, guess what? You are always going to be the least important factor in our decision making. That is how he's going to internalize it.
I think that's possible.
He's
but
a child.
It might
That's how
not
he's gonna
be
Well,
the
there's a
internalize it.
truth,
baby.
but
There's a baby. I think the son can be brought on board to understand, you know, why this is happening. this
not
happened to
a-
me.
yeah, but he could resent.
I understood.
his brother.
The dog that helped him rebound from his mother dying, being shipped out, you're not just taking away the dog, you're
true.
taking away the emotional security he experienced the dog gave after his mother passed.
Wait,
so
did they
you're
say
you're
that?
wading into some heavy evil stepmother territory because you're kind of saying, no, you let go of her. I'm mama now, and mama don't like that dog.
Well, I could go NAH for this.
It just depends on how you execute after, because I do think if you get rid of the dog permanently, yeah, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I think you got to give the dog to a neighbor, which I think is a doable thing.
It's doable, but it's not easy. It's
it's
hard
not
to find
easy.
people to
Life
do,
isn't
but
easy sometimes.
There's also, and I don't know what your financial situation is, but there is long-term boarding. There's my parents use a boarding facility they have two very, very cute French bulldogs, and they have a lot of different stuff going on, in different law offices right now, dealing with an estate and all that. So they have to be out of town so often, but the dogs love their boarding place. They don't stay there for months, but maybe like a week or whatever, and they have a great time. They always come back pooped and worn out and exercised and just happy as clams. So there are available resources for this kind of thing.
I am kind of pulling, though, AITA for prioritizing my son's dog over my wife's pregnancy. I think that's wrong. I think humans come first. That is my policy.
Yeah.
And in this case, I'm not saying we just get rid of the dog, but I do think that the wife's anxiety is bad for the baby. And I also do think it's a viable threat. I'm not saying likely, but it is. This is a giant dog. If this was a little terrier, a little Westie, give me a break. Like nothing can happen. Like,
Yeah.
The Westie would have to be fired from a cannon.
I will say that is very sizist of you, Danny.
Very what? Sizist?
Sizist. That's very sizist of you.
You know I like horses, and I have thought about maybe just getting a Great Dane and riding him around if that's
Don't
possible.
do that.
I'm
That's
not
very
sure.
bad for their hips.
Is it bad for
They
their
already
hips?
have bad hips.
Well, I'll install new hips. So, Disgraced Pickle writes, NAH, something is causing her anxiety and that should be addressed. It would be extremely traumatic for your son to lose his dog. She's going to have some compassion for him with this and you will need to protect him. I think that OP is not hearing his wife. And I'm happy because I feel like in this case, I'm very much team pregnant lady, 100%. I'm like, look, that dog is a danger. He just is. But he's a risk. A risk. That's the right word. Could be a danger. A risk.
Yeah, I think that there's
So,
just
any
some,
chandeliers
there's-
you have in the house? Just saying, like.
Well,
that
if they live in a
is
chandelier palace, yeah, get rid of the chandeliers. Why
That
did we
is-
install a spike that goes up and down? Why is this a Mario level?
That is what Alyssa comments said, like, has she stopped driving? Has she started using a wheelchair so she won't fall? Is she refusing to use stairs?
And now we're getting into like Better Call Saul logic of like, oh, you say
So you can't do all this other
do
stuff.
you eat peanuts? You could choke on a peanut.
Yeah, it's like
the issue at hand is a pregnant woman doesn't feel comfortable in her own home. A solution needs to be found, and saying "suck it up," the dog's not going to do anything. That's not a solution to this situation. So I think a boarding facility, if you have the resources,
there needs to be some kind of compromising here. It's not just like, nope, the dog's staying. There needs to be something.
I can't deem anybody here an asshole until they've taken action.
well,
on the
yeah, I mean,
situation.
you're right. I mean, on the
Right,
title,
that's
literal, conceptually prioritizing someone.
We need an update.
Now, if the
I think we're going with the fact, though, that he is ignoring his wife and he is basically positioned right now to say she's wrong and she's being unreasonable.
yeah,
and
he's not
that's,
being flexible at all. So that is his
could be YTA
reaction.
then.
That's where
I'm a soft YTA. On
I can
this
live
one.
with
Yeah.
that, folks. I can live with that.
Interesting, though, because Reddit went NTA.
Well, everybody loves a dog, and big dogs
True.
are.
A lot of people prioritize dogs over humans. They really do.
I'm not prioritizing the dog as much as I'm prioritizing the kid.
The kid,
That's who
yeah.
I'm thinking of more here. And
I
as this
agree with
in this
that.
new chapter of his life with a new sibling and a
Right.
new mom, I think you've got to find a compromise that works for everybody, so everyone feels like they're at home and they're not the guest.
Very
Answers
true,
can be
Jake.
found for pets that are causing issues in a household. AITA for prioritizing my son's dog over my wife's pregnancy. I think we do agree. YTA from me, YTA from Shannon. We're getting a soft YTA.
Soft
from me.
I could
YTA.
do soft, too.
I can live with that. Folks, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. You could be talking to Jake or Shannon right now, or me if you even want, but nobody really wants to.
Oh,
right now.
everybody wants to talk to you on
Everyone's
that.
tired of me
You're
now.
constantly getting tagged.
Well, I didn't say anything about cat litter. AITA for taking my sister's cats to a no-kill shelter. This is a submish. My sister, 21F, and I, 19F, moved into an apartment together in May of 2021. Now, she didn't put me on the lease because she said it would make the rent cheaper. She was lying. We both had cats when we moved in. She had 3 and I had 1. I ended up rescuing 2 more, so it was 3 each.
Whoa.
6-cat apartment?
That's a lot.
That's a lot of cats. She was getting stressed on bills, and come September 2021, she moved back in with our father. She left in the middle of the month and didn't pay her half of rent at the time, and I was in the middle of transferring jobs and I couldn't pay the rent. She left me behind on all the bills, and anytime I caught up, a new one came along. Meanwhile, she left her cats. It's now the end of December and my best friend, F18, is moving in. I've cleaned my sister's room that she left trashed. She has known since October that my friend will be moving in, and I asked her to get her things and find her cats a home. Feeding 6 cats and paying rent and bills by herself is a lot. She has only sent me money to help pay for them twice in September. I called her today to discuss it, and she just hangs up anytime I try to ask her about it. I'm tired of being a pushover because this pattern has been going on for months. I told her if she doesn't have her cats out by January 1st, I'm taking them to a no-kill shelter. Will I follow through? I don't know. I want to know if AITA.
Well, this is a shitty situation for sure because it's not the cat's fault, but they are property of somebody who's defaulting on payments.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty established way of what happens to you when you default on payments in situations like this. Mm-hmm. You lose your property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's really putting her sister out with leaving in the middle of the month with all of these bills on top of taking care of 6 cats.
6 cats in an
That's
apartment.
a lot of cats,
I
guys.
love me some kitties, but that's a lot of kitties.
Yeah.
That's a litter if I ever heard one.
I wonder if she could give them to, I mean, I guess a no-kill shelter is obviously better than a kill shelter, but if there's friends she can give them to or something.
And that's always the ideal, but it's like we've talked about in these situations.
kinda
That's
hard to
such an
find.
Rehoming
unicorn.
3 cats? That is a lot. And,
Kitties.
True.
and I think OP, that's simply not OP's responsibility.
No, it's
those
not.
aren't her cats.
And you're getting jerked around.
Why
which
can't
is,
she just drop them off at the father's house? That's what
think
I would do.
That's kind of dicey too.
What? Why?
The father's house, or
That's
where the
that's
sister is
who
living?
Sister moved back in with.
I feel like dropping.
I think it's
animals
actually.
off.
I think that
No,
that's
I would.
Actually,
It's her father too. I would be like, knock, knock, knock. Here's your cat.
I think that that's actually a lot more ethical than the no-kill shelter.
Yeah, give
'cause
them back to her.
That's essentially putting them into the foster system,
Right.
which is fucked.
You think that's better?
I think it's better to
just
put.
give them back to the owner.
Well, no, because she's
Yeah.
being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Actually, Shannon, you just nailed it. This person's acting like the only two options are you take care of my cats or you're going to take them to a no-kill shelter. No, take your cats
Take
back,
your
you piece of
cats.
shit.
What
She's
is the
not
reason?
getting them though. She's not going to get them.
That's why
She's
I would
doing
be like,
nothing.
here you go, drop them off.
Yeah, give them to somebody who cares.
It's your own
more.
father.
That's what I'm
house.
saying is that the shelter does care more. They deal with this, whereas
That's
she is
true.
doing nothing. I honestly, I mean, I defer to you on this, Jake. If you really think bringing it to someone who is
It
displaying,
depends on the shelter. It depends on
You
the
think
shelter.
Well,
Bad
she would
shelters.
take care of them once they were in her
Actually, no,
possession.
but she's
Danny's-
not going to the house to pick them up.
Danny's
Yeah, but
right.
she's just trying to pawn them off on her sister. But if it would be like, no, here they are, I'd be like, okay, now I have to figure out what to do with them.
I think Danny's right where you're giving them back to a cruel, thoughtless person who's not like, yeah, I don't think she's emotionally attached to these cats. And
No.
I actually, wow, Danny, you just totally flipped my way of thinking on this. Because yeah, you're right. A no-kill shelter is going to have way more passionate people, way more focused on housing these cats in a proper place. And
yeah, but then you're breaking up. Like, I mean, these cats are kind of like siblings. You're breaking them up.
a good shelter would like do
Try and
like
keep 'em
we're
together.
yeah, and I think most people who are looking to bring in 3 not kittens is going to be a tough sell probably.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I do think I think there's a higher risk when people have demonstrated a capacity to be callous or uncaring towards animals. That behavior is not going to change. And as much as this sister wants to act like, oh, my precious babies, like you're the one who's neglecting them.
Yes.
You clearly don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about these cats.
And just think if there was some issue with the cats, like they have some minor health issue that could become major, I would not trust her to do that. I would trust the
definitely
no-kill
not.
shelter.
Yeah,
True.
I think you're handling this really smart by just do your homework, make sure it's a good shelter. That's probably the best situation here because it doesn't sound like your sister's got her shit together.
yeah, but at the same time, she never said like my sister was neglectful of the cats. It's just she
have
didn't
to. She
really
is.
want to take. She just didn't really want them anymore, and it
that-
was like, here, sis, I just would rather you take care
But
of them.
that's neglect, Shannon. She's pawning off her responsibility.
Well, it's not neglect because she knows her sister will take care of
She's
them.
forcing her to.
Yeah,
I
but she still
mean,
knows that she'll take care of them. It's not like she's just letting their
I don't know.
litter box. like,
it's not if you leave your
pile
child
up.
at someone's house who's a
Yeah.
good person, you're still neglecting them.
you are still neglecting the child. For
I guess,
sure.
but I would still give her. I mean, I guess she is giving her the option, like, "Hey, get your cats, or I'm taking them to
Yes.
the shelter."
Yeah.
But I'm curious why. I'm curious what the sister said when she said that.
Probably nothing because she sounds like
she
a
hangs
dead-
up.
Yeah.
She hangs up.
She
a
lied,
lot.
and she lied about it was the sister's name on the lease.
Yeah, I don't. Usually that is true. She didn't put me on the lease because she said it would make the rent cheaper. That actually is true for me. I happen to know if I got a roommate, they increase it by like 10%.
I
So
wonder why she was lying
But
about that.
yeah,
and also
or if
she's
she-
on the lease, so the sister's on the lease.
I mean, this sister. I feel like OP. You're doing the most. I think. I honestly feel like people can maybe, if you're a kind roommate, you can give people 1-2 week grace period.
Mm-hmm.
This happened to my brother. Somebody left the cat at his house for like 6 months. And it was
wow.
like, and he's easygoing, but it's like, that's neglect.
And it's expensive too.
It's fucked up to do that to someone just
Yeah.
because they're a responsible person, like pawning off your responsibility. That's what neglect is. You're
Yeah.
neglecting your responsibility.
Yeah.
You're neglecting the cats.
Well, I definitely don't think that the submitter is the asshole.
no.
That's for sure.
I think we're all on the same page here. I honestly think I think dropping them off. I think Jake and I have seen eye to eye on this, which makes me feel like I do know a little bit about animals because AITA for taking my sister's cats to a no-kill shelter. OP, you're doing the most. We're saying NTA. And
Hard
your
NTA.
sister is.
YTA. Oh, sorry. The sister's the YTA. The sister's the YTA. Yeah.
All right, guys. Please rate, review, subscribe. Please submit. We're doing a great job of covering them all. And yes, people, this is yet another listener submish. It's
This is not a listener submission.
Oh, no, it's not?
No.
Just kidding. But the next episode has
Don't tell him.
like 9 listener submissions. So we will get to your submissions. AITA for asking my friend to move out because he kept feeding my dog junk food. My friend James recently moved in with me. We've known each other for about 5 years. My former roommate had to relocate for a new job, and James's lease at his previous apartment was up, so I invited him to rent out my spare room. I have an elderly dog, Arrow. I like that name.
That's a good name for a dog.
I adopted from the pound 10 years ago. He's been with me through some of the toughest times in my life. Aside from being elderly, he also has a very delicate stomach and is on a special medication feed. About 3 months into living together, Arrow began frequently throwing up. As I mentioned, he's old. So I assumed there was a sign of his condition and worsening with time. I learned from the vet his condition had been exacerbated by a change to his diet. I was confused since I wasn't feeding Arrow anything but his prescription food. I soon found out that James had been giving Arrow snacks, bacon, french fries, chips, pizza crust,
Brutal.
all types of greasy, unhealthy human food that was terrible. I was upset since James knows that Arrow is on prescription feed, but I told him about the vet visit and told him not to give Arrow anything to eat, reiterating that he had stomach problems and could only have a special food. James apologized and said he understood, but a few weeks later, Arrow is throwing up again. James was still giving him junk food. I confronted him and he defended himself by saying he only gave it to Arrow occasionally when he looked really hungry. This time I lost my temper and it turned into a bit of a fight with me again, telling him he can't give Arrow anything ever. I was harsher and more aggressive than I should have been that second time, but I was really furious that he didn't comprehend that he is killing my dog out of stubbornness. It turned into a week of us being very curt to each other and barely speaking. Eventually, it blew over and we went back mostly to normal. Unfortunately, normal also included James again giving my dog snacks that made him sick. I decided that was it. As they say, 3 strikes you're out. I told him James he would have to find a new place to live. As you might expect, he was furious. It turned into a massive fight and we're not speaking to each other. Our mutual friends have been trying to mediate. Their argument is that Arrow doesn't have much longer to live. So what's wrong with letting him enjoy some unhealthy things? AITA for kicking him out.
Wow.
This person's a fucking
Fuck
piece
this
of
dude.
shit.
Fuck your friends. Like, I do actually, I have a personal tie into this. We had a family dog who she definitely imprinted on me. She was, the family dog, but she was my dog. She recognized me as the person. She always wanted to be closer to me. And whenever we had family over, people would feed her at the table. And I made a point of never giving her human food. She was on a really healthy diet. And, after there's like 3 or 4 holidays where I was just politely like, hey, can we not feed Izzy at the table? Let's not give her human food. She has her own food. Please don't feed her at the table. And people just kept doing it because, it's so cute. It's so cute. Oh, she wants food. And then after I think it was like the 4th one, I just opened up the meal by saying, hey, nobody's feeding Izzy. Yeah. All of you. I went full asshole on everybody just to top off the meal because I had been polite 3 or 4 times and everybody knew they were blowing me off when I did it.
Wow.
So I finally had a year where I was just like, don't fucking feed the dog. I'm sick of it. And I remember part of the family, somebody I'm related to's husband's mom gave me this incredulous look like, how dare I? And I was just like, what? Do you have something to say? Because I keep asking you to not do this and you keep doing it. Yeah. And it's like, it is such a direct disrespect to do that to somebody of like, this is my animal. Mm-hmm. I'm the one who knows what it needs. You don't get to just do this because it's fun for you to give it little snacks. It's fucked.
I thought this was well-known common sense. I'm shook that people would do this. I would never feed someone's dog without getting their permission.
Never. I always ask. Even my parents' dog. I'm like, is this okay?
I just don't give dogs human food. Yeah. I'll give them treats. Love giving them treats, but they're treats. You never know how human
And there's
food's going
gotchas
to
too.
affect.
Chocolate kills dogs. Grapes kills dogs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wine's super unhealthy for them. People will let their dog. Yeah. People will give little finger drops of wine to their dogs because it's fun. And it's just you don't know fucking shit. And this is what we were talking about in the last pod. Not everybody knows the rules of animals, but have some fucking common sense.
They're living beings.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't just give them random food.
The fact that he just keeps doing it, what the fuck?
That's where he's just an asshole.
Oh, he's a psychopath.
Yeah,
who wants to kill the dog.
Yeah, he's just and also your friend saying oh, the dog doesn't have that long to live. Let him live a little. He doesn't fucking register that he's living. He's just eating. It's a reflex.
And also he's in pain. They're like, let him live
Yeah,
and have a good time. So that 1 second that the food is in his mouth, which is probably a millisecond for dogs.
And he's just going, food. This is also food.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's 7 seconds for dogs, but
That's one of my favorite jokes you've ever said on this podcast.
I mean,
But what I'm saying is it's painful for him.
Yep.
So it's not actually making his life
yeah, he's
better.
paying it all back with the throw up, which is horrifying.
Terrible. So you're basically making the end of his life much, much more miserable.
I don't even know if that needs to be
enjoyable.
the case. I think what's certain is that you respect other people's pets. You respect the rules around other people's pets. And, I want to go back at you, Jay, because you yelling at that party wasn't being an asshole. It was being assertive and abrasive.
yeah.
You were
Yeah.
being abrasive. You had to be abrasive.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta fucking yell at people.
Yeah, and if they're upset about it, it's because they know they're wrong. They're getting scolded.
I'm also that
they
was,
should be.
That was right around the time in my life too, where I learned I'd finally put together how much more powerful it is when I raise my voice.
It's big.
I don't do it flippantly now because I understand the impact it has.
It's scary.
But
I would be scared.
it always upsets me when I'm held to a different standard of other people, because it's like, well, you really scared me. It's like, you've been ignoring me for 3 years on this topic. So
Right.
how did you think I was going to react? You were just going to win? No.
Exactly.
So
yeah, what did this roommate think was going to happen?
yeah, it's
Was he trying to get kicked
what
out?
I see from him is that he was probably saying something like, "Oh, well, the dog just looks so sad, and I feed him, and it's not that big of a deal." And it's just like, it is almost like he doesn't understand the bigger picture, but he does understand it. But it's like I can see him arguing something like that.
Yeah.
and it's like you're just really missing that. This is a living being. Babies cry. What, you gonna feed the baby whatever they want? Like,
here's a milkshake,
Yeah.
kid. This is good for you.
But
Exactly.
I'm happy. I'm actually really happy we got into the yelling aspect, because I have yelled, and I think sometimes I think it's an important thing to realize as a man, which is that a yelling man can be scary. But it's a weapon, and there is a time to pull it out. And I think that's part of our duty as men, is to occasionally pull out the yell, because sometimes people don't fucking listen.
And women too.
What do you mean?
Excuse me. We can pull out the yell too.
Okay. I mean, I don't know that women would see the same results though as a man. I guess what I was saying. Well, no, then my thought was that, look, with Jake, it's even more accentuated because you're a big guy. And so if you yelled at me over something, I would take it.
People treat it like a form of violence.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's
exactly.
Me yelling.
But with man versus man?
It would depend on the situation, but you'd be shocked how many little assholes, guys who are little shits, but they act like an asshole increased almost because of that. You'd be shocked at how quickly they will fall back into why are you coming to me? I'm just a little guy.
Right.
And it's like you've been begging for it this whole time, and now you finally got the bear, and now you're trying to act like a victim. That does happen, and it's very frustrating.
I think it's like a responsibility that you would bear more than me, but I bear it as well, because all right, so when you accidentally destroyed the studio here, whatever, you knocked some stuff over. Had I started yelling, you guys would have been like, well, he's, his shit got fucked up, so he's freaking out. But if you were to do that, people would be actually afraid and probably come at you and indict you for that. And so you've had to be this is something I need to be aware of and careful with. And I think I have to do that as well, just to a lesser extent. Because look, a 5'8" yelling at you, it's like, oh, you know,
it's also worth mentioning too. I grew up in an environment with, unfortunately, a male role model who yelled frequently, regularly, had a lot of anger problems. So I got to see exactly how damaging that was on my mom and how much impact it had on me growing up. So I figured out a lot sooner, and I grew up getting dropped off at preschool. The last thing my parents would tell me is don't hurt anybody, because I was so much bigger than the other kids.
Right.
That has a massive impact on you as you grow up. But seeing my dad using yelling as his primary way of dealing with it terrifies people, and it makes people jolt and jitter and jump when you're around. So I've had to be a lot more conscious of that, simply because I was growing up in an environment where I saw how toxic it is.
Yeah, and Shannon, I'm not saying that a woman yelling doesn't, that can have a power. Absolutely.
No, I see what you're
but
getting
what
at,
I'm saying more is think of a situation where somebody I don't know is doing something. There is a more of an opportunity for me to be like, hey man, don't let your kid on the grass.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I
stop.
think
There's
this
snakes in there.
OP was in every right to yell.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think he says like, oh, maybe it was too much, but like, no,
kick his
bitch,
ass to the
like
curb.
he's
James is my
fucking up
least-
your dog.
James is my least favorite, biggest asshole. I think we've like in terms of just like what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
That we've covered on the show. And Shannon, to your point, I think that part of the shitty thing that women have to deal with when they yell is it can get you written off as being emotional,
Exactly.
or whatever.
That's-
and it's
that's
like
what I'm on
it's
about.
like so easy to minimize what you're feeling and the frustration that you've been put into because of shitty gender norms that we've established for centuries now.
Yeah, true.
So it is fucked that like hard feelings like that are so quickly either weaponized against you or used to dismiss you when you hit that point. And it's just such an easy tactic for not even like physical bullies, shitty emotional bullies, which are my least favorite fucking type
Yeah.
because they're so quick to like, no consequences. It's like, fuck you, James. I hope you're listening to this one.
Wait, we have an update. Can I read the update?
Read the update.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank everyone who commented, making me feel confident in my decision. James moved out, and as far as I know, he's staying with family while looking for a new place. We are no longer friends and are now NC with each other.
No contact.
No contact.
Wow.
I still talk to our mutuals, which is who I heard the updates from. Unfortunately, Arrow passed away a few weeks ago.
little Arrow.
He had major organ failure and urinary infection and was in a lot of pain with no chance of significant improvement. So I had to make a very hard choice. It's been difficult getting through the holidays, but I wanted to provide an update.
You did the responsible thing. It's
Which
so hard
I
to let
think
go
that
of the fact.
fucking James probably sped that up a little bit.
Of
course.
I'd like to think that that's not the case, but yeah, unfortunately, James, I hope you
Karma.
you fucking suck, dude.
Karma.
Stick your thumb up your butt and fart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't either.
AITA for asking my friend to move out because he kept feeding my dog junk food.
NT.
Nuclear.
A.
Hey. All right, guys, that is the app. Thanks so much for listening.
Woo,
and we'll see you
thanks
next
for
time.
listening.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Fuck you, James.